Hello everyone, or no one, and welcome to Devil Gaming. I'm a band gamer and I played God of War, and I found this. I am a Chris Hemsworth, before he got too much TT-fied. When we had this, instead of this, when we had this,
This drink, I like.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
and not this. This. Not this. This. Not this. But he did bring back Lady Sif. All hail Lady Sif. And he made Thor Ragnarok, which was pretty good. So it's not all that bad. Speaking about what's not bad, this game is like if Clint Eastwood, J.R.R. Tolkien, Norse and Greek mythology had a child together. And it turned out to be a pretty good thing. The game won several Game of the Year awards, and that was well deserved.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the realm of Midgard. The short version of this magical adventure is that you play as Kratos, the Greek god of war, where he have just lost his wife, and he and his son Atreus is going on an adventure to fulfill his wife's last wish, which was to get her ashes spread from the highest peak of the 9 realms, which, of course, is a journey that's not without any issues, but it makes up for one hell of a good story. The story in this game is amazing. Also, the way it's told is really good. It's like either the director took some courses in directing, or they used Google on which tools you have to use for storytelling in films, and they just used all of them. The voice acting, the music, the world design, the graphics, the characters in the game, everything is very good and awesome put together. And they also use this handheld camera motion, which is unique for a video game, I think at least, that really helps on telling the story and gives you like a completely different experience. As you adventure into the story, you meet a big-headed lady, a slightly large serpent, some interesting brothers, and you also get a living talking head. This head is, in my opinion, a genius addition to the game. It's like a narrator that's carrying the story, but it is also a part of the story and the world. He is geniusly written and portrayed. A common mean of travel in this game is by boat, and while you are traveling, he is telling stories about either the place you are going to go or something else about the world or the characters you have already placed in the game.
The peace held, and I truly believed all had worked out better than I could have planned. But Odin's true face showed itself again in the end. He won Freya's trust, and she taught him some of her Vanir magic, another choice she would live to bitterly regret.
And this adds so much more depth to the game. It's really good. The child Atreus, or
Boy.
as he's being called over 220 times throughout the story of the game, is also very well written and carries the story really well. In the beginning, you kind of feel like sorry for him and you care for him.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
In the middle, he'll learn some stuff that he really doesn't deal with well, and you really don't like him anymore.
Isn't it a lot simpler if they want us dead because we're gods?
No. He was beaten. Not worth killing. I said no.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
But towards the end, he gets a little bit better again. The game takes place in a beautiful semi-ish open world or areas that you can explore, and you can also like travel to other realms using the Bifrost. You can choose to go hard on the main story and just complete that one, or you can choose to do side quests as you progress the story. I did the side quests after finish the main story. I kind of regret that a little bit. I should have done them while going through the story because they add a little bit more depth to the game and tells you a little bit about the world you're playing in and the characters you are playing against, and it really adds to the world. It seems like everything in this game is put there with a purpose. It's done really, really well. It's such a flawless and seamless game. There's no loading screens or anything like that. Even when you start the game, you press start the game and the camera just pans away and boom, you are into the game. You are already chopping wood and moving your character. And it's really, really cool. And speaking of coolness, that's the word that's defined this game. If there was a scale on coolness, this one will break it. The combat in the game is also pretty good. It's not very complicated, but it has some variety on different styles you can play, and you can make some different builds. When I played through the story, I did feel like I wished there was a little bit more combat and a little bit more mobs to fight, because there is some parts of the game with just a lot of running and not really much fighting. I wouldn't want it to be like a lot more. Just a little bit more would be really, really nice. There is also some cool bosses. But I'm surprised that there's really not that many of them when you're playing through the story. It's some gods and some dragons, and of course the main villain of the game. But overall I was surprised how few big bad bosses there was. There are some mini-bosses or challenging mob types, of course, that can be or is a little bit tough. But I was kind of hoping for a little bit more bosses when playing through the story, so that surprised me a little bit. If I have any complaints or something to put my finger on in this game, it would be these things. Some places feels very linear where you're supposed to go, especially climbing. You do a lot of climbing in the game, and it's like this golden rune path that tells you where to go. I would kind of prefer to find my own way up the mountains or climbing on this construction, but that's just a preference that I have. It's not really relevant to the game, but it's something that I would like to have the option to find my own way up the mountain. Also, there can be a little bit too much of a cinematic feeling throughout the game, where some cutscenes are a bit too long and maybe a little bit too many of them. I think maybe like the longest one is close to 4 minutes or something like that, without me even pressing a button. If I choose to play games as an entertainment, it's because I'm in charge of the character. I make the decisions. I make the action. If I don't want that, I can just watch a movie. It's great for telling the story, but it can be a little bit too much of it throughout the game. There is also sometimes when you're fighting a boss, you get these situations where all you do is press a button that the game tells you to do. And then the character do all this weird kind of cool stuff. but all you do is press one button, like press X at a certain moment in time, and I'm not a fan of that type of combat. Of course it's cool, but I prefer to be in charge of the actions I do. However, they have made a slight better version in this game than I've ever tried before when you face the situation where you just press X and your character does a lot of stuff. And this time you have to react a little bit to what's going on the screen. It's very few choices, it's like dodge left or dodge right or counterattack, but that simple reaction and choice made those situations much better than just hit X and your character does this crazy stuff. So that made those situations a lot better, but there still are some hit X situations and I don't like them. I really don't. When you are done with the main story, a couple of things unlock. One thing is the new game plus, where you can take the character you have now and start a game wearing the same equipment and same build that you have already completed the game with and start again. That game mode adds some more enemies, gives old enemies some new abilities, and it rewards you with some new and really powerful equipment, which is kinda cool. It gives you like an incentive to play the game again and even increase the difficulty level of the game. You also unlock 2 more realms after you have completed the story that you can travel to and you can do some stuff there. In Nilfheim you get this maze event, but every time you enter it, it changes the layout and it changes the traps and enemies you fight against, which is alright. And you are there to collect the currency that you can use to craft some really powerful armor. I did that and it wasn't the best, but it was alright. The other realm you can unlock is Muspelheim. I really like this one. As I said earlier, I felt like there was a little bit lack of combat and fighting when you play through the story, and here you really get it. In this realm you get to face 6 different challenges and they are all just combat based where it's just fighting all the time, and I really like this. It's everything from defeat 100 mobs to kill certain mobs within a time limit and to kill them in certain areas and things like that. And I thought this was really cool and it filled a hole I felt the game lacked a little bit when I played the story, because this is just fighting. The last thing you unlock after finishing the main story is to fight some corrupted Valkyries.
A Valkyrie! We have to save her.
Think before you act. Are we prepared to face such a powerful foe?
I'm ready if you are.
Aye, same here.
There are 8 of them and they act like bosses, which also feed the desire that there wasn't many bosses to fight, and I thought they were very cool. After you have defeated all 8 of them, you are able to fight their leader, the Queen of the Valkyries, and
Boy,
this was a gem of a fight. This took me many hours of bashing my head into this thing, figure out how to beat it. I have one rule when I go into a game, and that is I'm going in blind and I'm staying blind until I either defeat it or I uninstall it. And when I finally defeated this boss, it felt really good. Of course, after I defeated it and you look at clips on how to do it and you see people beat it in 10 seconds, doesn't feel that great. But I had a really good time figuring out my way to beat the boss. I thought that was a really good, nice gem of a fight to end the game with. This game is a solid A-tier game. I'm really glad I played it. I'm on this journey where I'm trying new and different types of game, where all I do is watch a trailer or just read briefly about the game from the publisher, what it's about, and then go and try it. It's a really fun experience. Sometimes you find really good games and sometimes you find some not that good, but it's a really cool experience. And this one was very cool. So, internet, I think this is it. I bid you farewell.
Goodbye, Faye.
I love you, Mom.